Hey readers, so today I'm going to be telling you guys why you should be reading Stephen King's The Shining. And I know when you see The Shining, you might automatically think of
Here's Johnny!
But that's not what I want everyone to take away from this video today. What I'm going to be discussing is why this chillingly beautiful novel should be what you guys are reading next. So the novel itself follows the story of Jack and Wendy Torrance and their 5-year-old son Danny, who has the gift called The Shining. And The Shining gives Danny the ability to see events before they can happen, and to also see past events through visions. Jack recently lost his job and has since found work at the Overlook Hotel, since got the job as the caretaker over the winter period when the hotel is closed. All he has to do is stay there, make sure everything's running smoothly for when it opens back up again in the summer. Does that happen? Guess you'll have to read and find out. But I'd like to first look at the beauty of the hotel and the dichotomy of the horrors that live within the hotel itself. When we first get introduced to the hotel, it talks about how beautiful and grand it is and elegant. However, it does hold a lot of death. I'd like to look at one part when they are getting the grand tour. And Wendy and Jack find the carpets beautiful, Wendy even wishing she had them in her own home. And Danny, using his shining gift, sees something not so beautiful. Danny describes the wallpaper as great splashes of dried blood flecked with tiny bits of grayish-white tissue clotted the wallpaper. I mean, beauty, horrors, pretty dichotomous, right? Another aspect of the novel that I found actually really interesting was the biographical lens that was applied when researching into the novel a little bit further. The author Stephen King actually stayed at a hotel, the hotel that they used to film the actual movie Shining in, and he went there with his wife just as the hotel was about to close for the season, as the Torrances did with the novel here. Stephen King actually got inspiration for the novel when he was staying in room 217, which is featured in the novel being the worst room to go into, and Danny gets a warning never to go in there. And while staying in the room 217, he actually has a dream, a nightmare, and that inspired him to write the novel, which I thought was very interesting because it really contributes to the tone of the novel. The isolation that is faced within staying at the Overlook. The whole theme of isolation is very prominent and very in-depth, and I feel like the fact that Stephen King got inspiration from staying at a hotel himself and had inspirations to write the novel itself, I feel like that really conveyed properly how he wanted the theme and the tone of the actual novel to be portrayed. The thing that I absolutely adored about the novel was the narrative perspective. And the book is written in third person, so we get to see each individual character's thoughts, and with their thoughts comes their fears, which I thought was really, really interesting to get to see for each individual person, as they differ, obviously. So with Jack, we get to see him being very fearful of himself, of his inner anger. He had an incident when Danny was younger where he actually broke his arm out of anger. So we get to see Jack being very fearful of himself. Something that I noticed throughout the whole entire novel was foreshadowing. From the very beginning to the very end, there was elements of foreshadowing. Danny's gift. Biggest use of foreshadowing. At the very beginning of the book, Danny has visions that something bad is going to happen. Another aspect of foreshadowing was the incident with early on that has been utilized throughout the book where Jack broke Danny's arm out of anger. The past events of Jack being very aggressive may lead us to believe that he might get a little bit aggressive towards the end. There's tons of elements of foreshadowing, but let it be said that this foreshadowing did not deter me from reading the book. Even though I knew something was going to happen at the end, there's no way I could have guessed what did happen. Well, I mean, I can continue to go on and on about all the different aspects of the novel and how much I loved it, but I don't want to ruin it. So, I think you should definitely be reading The Shining. The novel itself is so wonderfully written. It's beautiful, it's chilling, it's grabbing your attention, it's making you want to read the next page and continue forth and see what happens to the Torrance family. So everyone, go grab a copy of The Shining and get reading.